sleek, capable, a legendary element comprised of both direction and magnitude. Hi, Six Snipes here, with the second and perhaps most hyped of the two iconic weapons added as of 1.11. No less weirder than the last one and even pricier in comparison, which is the king of high RPM SMGs which can't justify their costs. Today, looking at the Vector. You're watching Gun Guide. The Kriss Vector is a one-hit wonder weapon line from an otherwise widely unfamiliar US manufacturer, Kriss USA. In fact, it's so much more popular than their other guns that it's literally the only one featured on their front page. But despite having no reputable name to back it like the P90 or good old MP7, this one pretty much takes the cake in the terms of the shred-ass department.
I'm not full auto, it's not full auto. That's not full auto? This is.
The specific model in game would be the Gen 1 Kriss Vector. You can tell because of the trigger chambered in one more interestingly and much more uncommonly within the title, 45 ACP.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
What's so special about that? Remember the 1911 M45? Remember the one time you used them and they hit as hard as a truck but run out sooner than you can say to World Wars? Well, this one has 25 of those bullets at base and shoots them at 1,200 rounds per minute, but it still runs out fast as shit. The fastest fire rate in the game, plus a caliber more than equipped to bring the hurt, and combined with the subsonic aspect of ammunition makes this potentially the cleanest, most efficient, and noiseless device for wiping out the good old radical terrorist off the face of the planet, one 10-round burst at a time. And just like the classic daytime television ads, there's more.
I'm not done yet.
The proprietary Super V system, sounding like either lube or sexual performance supplements, is in fact the exclusive real-life recoil mitigation mechanism, which basically reduces the kick of what would otherwise feel like a Galway Adventure cannon to water pistol, to the point where this gun is in fact probably the only gun in real life to have negative recoil, and the game nails this. The hardest part about using the Vector is literally not aiming lower to compensate for recoil, or else overcorrecting for something we assume is gonna be there, but isn't. This gun literally doesn't kick up and barely horizontally. As a result, on paper, this is pretty much a cinch for the most goated, cracked, busted, built different gun in the game.
Stupid, I'm not gonna let you get the chance.
So is it? No. Let's ignore the fact that this comes in at 6 credits, the first of that price point for any security gun ever, and effectively unaffordable in anything outside of domination to anyone who wants to have a gas mask, armor, and carriers, which you will need. Let's just ignore that. The most defeating feature of the Vector is in fact that it does this when it could easily be doing this and still be a better pick than literally every other PDW in the game, but it doesn't. And it shows. Default magazine size is like the FAMAS obnoxiously 5 bullets lower than standard on pretty much every other gun worth having, and costs 2 credits to boost that to the benchmark. And regardless of which you pick, there is barely a difference, because in the wrong engagement with the giggle switch enabled, you will blow your load every time after like maybe 1.5 kills. The P90, which had the similar but much less pronounced problem of fire rate, at least sports 50 rounds to compensate. This gets nothing, but solving the problem of shit full auto efficiency is actually very easy if you're willing to turn on your brain for a minute and press this. That's right, for the small price of free, you can basically invoke the rarest and super effective ability of shooting 2 bullets instead of all of them per click. Sure, you lose out on volume of fire by like, not at all, but again, you gain the benefit of being able to aim much more efficiently and conserve ammunition by at least 50%, calling all the way back to the first episode where I told you that it's all about controlled bursts. Toggle it like this and the default Vector is pretty much capable of smearing the remains of any attacking force all over the entrances to your objective, because let's be real, they aren't getting past the stairs. Even on burst, the rate of fire is so obscene that even with poorly timed clicking, it ensures that if you were the one to shoot in first, you're probably going to be the one who also walks away. The iron sights are nothing to write home about, but are much more functional than the P90s and give it a lot more room in the lower regions for actually seeing what's around the focus. But this is a security gun and the security players are gamers. Let's talk about the things you don't need but are going to use anyways. Breaking down the attachments for this thing, first and foremost, it should be obvious that recoil mitigation is in no way or form even remotely necessary. But it's cool as fuck if you do. Basically, with recoil grip and compensator, you have a laser beam more expensive than the average particle collider and far more accurate too. Full auto is basically a joke, and nobody's going to be able to push you before you run out of the 3.5 kills worth of ammunition you have within 5 magazines. You will, unlike virtually every other gun, get far more value out of a compensator, as horizontal recoil is much more present and consistent. However, it will unfortunately make you lose out on the suppressor. Subsonic 45 with the suppressor has never been more quiet, except for this one, or slower, more lethal. That part is true. Enemies will not hear you even pretty close up and will prevent anyone pushing your sight from getting a sufficient read on your position as a defender or else directional push on attack. Optics are actually pretty funny. Use the ACOG. I know it sounds stupid, and I know that 45 has basically the worst trajectory physics in the game, but the ACOG is actually the finest thing ever with zero recoil and is literally just like playing Rainbow Six Siege, but they're all bots and is easy mode. Even at significant ranges, the amount of 2 tappable targets with burst is absurd and you will profit every time. It's even available on every mode, so you non-domination fucks can stop bitching. Finally, in terms of grips, I really do like the obligatory reloading one as it's mid-economy and very useful on a lot of pieces, and at the end of the day, not this goofy shit.
Oh my god! Oh jeez, oh my god!
So to reiterate, use the vector, and in 3 easy steps, you will win. Step 1, vector. Step 2, unequip the joke. Step 3, profit. Busted. Broken. Bussin'. The trademarks that tell every other player whether a gun is meant for those who intend to skate fast and eat ass. In closing thoughts, is it as good as the P90? No. The P90 just offers a more sustainable playstyle at a lower cost with lower skill to use, and you really can't beat 50 rounds base regardless of minutia like firing at 300 rounds per minute faster. This entire update has made me interested in perhaps making a video breaking down the best gun out of every class or type, like best SMG, and really at this point, much like the rifleman selection, the category is stacked. In the end though, this update has really pushed the envelope for both what the advisors can do and begs the question of if these weapons really add to the already dynamic lineup of weapons they get to begin with. I do not think this or the P90 can really replace something like the TAV or the Mark 18, which just does all of those things but more conventionally and from way further away, but that's my opinion and I digress. More guns are always welcome, but I'll be covering actually a pretty classic oldie to wrap up this season of stellar submachine guns next episode. Some of you might get pissed off. But until then, I'm Six Snipes, this is the Kriss Vector, and you've been watching Gun Guide. I'll see you out there in Sandstorm.
Nice one, we got Alpha!
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?